So, how much stock do we put into the latest reports about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? Let's discuss. Oh, it is. It is Tuesday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. You know what Tuesday means? Tuesday almost always means Brady Hawk is going to join us. Talk a little Miami Heat, talk a little NBA with our guy Brady. Well, I don't know exactly what time you sent this, HM, but yeah, we are live. It is live. Yeah, it's not a premiere. It is like I see HM. I don't know if it's just HM, but there's some people who don't know if like we're premiering like a pre-taped episode of something or if we're live. I am live right now. It's 2:38 p.m. Year of our Lord 2022, the 19th of July. So welcome to HM. Welcome to Lucy. Donut Dan, welcome in. And guys, whether you're watching us live or you watch us later on today via delay, make sure you smash the like button. Smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel, 5 Reasons Sports. And there's a lot of exciting stuff happening on 5 Reasons Sports as we get closer to football season coming up. I'm going to be doing more with the Dolphins coverage here on this network as well. We're going to be kind of rebranding and retooling the Extra Yard. I think we're going to debut that or re-debut that next week. So make sure you join us there. We'll give you more details on that throughout the week. Oh, thank you so much, Holland. Thank you for liking and subscribing. We appreciate it. So, yeah, in a few minutes, we're going to be joined by our good pal, Brady Hawk. And so, okay, when I asked you guys how much stock are we putting into the latest rumors and reports, because now, let me see if I can pull up the article. You're starting to have a lot more noise over the last couple of days about the possibility that Kevin Durant just doesn't get traded, that he ends up staying in Brooklyn. Because remember, he does have limited leverage, given that he's got 4 years left on his deal. So there's not technically a whole lot of urgency for Brooklyn to trade him away, because it's not like they would lose him in free agency next summer or anything like that. Now, at the same time, you don't like to keep a disgruntled player if you don't have to. Right? Like if you've got even a great player who doesn't want to be with your organization, your preference would be, let me try to get something really good in return for this player, because we'd rather have players who want to be here than players who don't want to be here, because that can just be disruptive. And it's also a weird look PR wise. Okay. So, you don't want to keep an unhappy player. But I think Brooklyn also knows Kevin Durant loves basketball so much. And even though, we have some questions about kind of his mental fortitude, when it comes to social media and criticism and stuff like that, he's got those burner accounts, but you do not question his work ethic, and you do not question his love for basketball, and you do not question his professionalism on the court. So I think that there is a thinking from a Brooklyn standpoint that even if he's not necessarily fully happy to still be here, he's still going to give his best effort, and he's going to understand, and he's still going to give us the best version of KD. I think you can say that about KD. You can't necessarily say that about somebody like Kyrie Irving. That if Kyrie Irving is unhappy, he just may not show up to work, period. Right? Kevin Durant is unhappy. He's still going to show up, and he's still going to do his best. Over the past few days, there have been some reports that maybe he just doesn't get traded because the Brooklyn Nets, they've not been satisfied with any of the offers or the scenarios that they've been presented with. That teams aren't just rolling out the red carpet of, yeah, give me your 33, soon to be 34-year-old. Great as he is, we're not just going to give you our all-star players, our next 6 first-round draft picks. Teams are not just agreeing, yeah, he's Kevin Durant, he's great, let me give you a bounty for this guy. So Brooklyn has not been wowed by the offers. So with that being said, there's been a lot of speculation that, hey, if they don't like the offers that are coming in, and if the teams like Miami don't increase the offers, or, that they just may not trade him, period. This is a new one. This scenario, I want to make sure I credit the right person. Dave McMenamin has been discussing this while speaking on the Low Post, which is Zach Lowe's podcast. ESPN's Dave McMenamin said that Kevin Durant's trade request might not have really been about leaving Brooklyn. Instead, Durant might have been trying to motivate the Nets to move his star teammate Kyrie Irving instead. Now, Ed, okay, what I just read to you, and I'll read a little bit more. First thing you have to realize is that's not Dave McMenamin saying, I'm reporting this. This is what I've been told. He doesn't want to leave. He just wants Kyrie out. It's speculation. It's educated speculation. I don't think a good NBA reporter like Dave McMenamin is just going to completely throw something out there without any sort of smoke behind it. So it might be educated speculation on his part, but it is speculation at the end of the day. Here's the quote from McMenamin. There is a school of thought, speaking to people around the league, that they think the Kevin Durant trade request wasn't actually about him getting out of Brooklyn. It was about getting Kyrie Irving out of Brooklyn. So the sense that Durant has tired of Irving's unreliability and would welcome Irving being traded. To this point, Durant has only asked the Nets for a trade with few details as to why he wants to be traded. I mean, okay, he hasn't given details publicly. I can imagine why he would want to be traded, because that organization's a dumpster fire. And Kyrie is kind of a dumpster fire of a teammate. Durant is starting year one of a 4-year, $197.6 million extension this coming season. Are you guys buying that? Are you buying the possibility that Kevin Durant would go through the trouble of requesting a trade out of mind games? That it's not it's like a Jedi mind trick. It's not actually a trade request. This is the kind of thing LeBron James would do, right? That I don't really want to leave. I just want to pressure you to get rid of my unreliable teammate who I thought I wanted to play with. But then I realized that this guy he's out to lunch. Like, I can't rely on his mentality. I can't rely on him. He just, doesn't really show up when we need him to show up. Are you buying this? Do you think that there's a possibility that Kevin Durant doesn't even want to be traded in the first place, that he is just putting the pressure and turning up the heat and using his leverage and using his influence to get Kyrie Irving traded? I agree with HM on this. I think that this is a little bit of a reach. KD is pretty blunt. He says he wouldn't do that. Yeah, I think he either wants to be in or he wants to be out. I think there are other ways. There are other ways to pressure Brooklyn. If you don't want to play with Kyrie anymore, I think there are other ways to accomplish that. You can do it through back channels. You can have your agent or somebody in your entourage let them know behind the scenes, or you can let them know man to man if you want to and just hope it doesn't get leaked. But I think there are other ways to do it. This is like a weird circumventing passive aggressive way to do it. I said this yesterday. I'll double down on it today. I still think this whole situation has a lot to do. These reports that he may not get traded, I think it has a lot to do with Brooklyn trying to increase their own leverage, because teams like Miami, who have, I'm sure, made them offers centered around Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and a handful of first-round picks, they don't think that's enough. Now Phoenix isn't in as good of a position as they were with this Ayton situation. They don't like what Toronto is offering and not including Scotty Barnes in a deal. They're not getting the type of offers that they thought they would get for KD. So I think Brooklyn is trying to increase their leverage by throwing it out there through reporters saying they may not even trade him. And that's going to say to teams, oh, they've got more leverage than we thought. We better offer more to get Kevin Durant. Let's bring in a very good friend of ours. This guy does an awesome job covering the Miami Heat and covering the NBA for 5reasonsports.com. Brady Hawk. So Brady, I was just discussing this. It's really, I don't know. It's a hypothetical but I like Dave McMenamin. He's pretty good at what he does. He threw out this possibility that Kevin Durant doesn't even actually want to get traded, that him asking for a trade was like his way of actually pressuring Brooklyn to get rid of Kyrie Irving. Is that a scenario you would consider? Because it's a little bit wacky for me.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility, but I'm more of the way that he wants to be traded, and I think if it comes down to it, he could return. Like I've been kind of saying, I feel like the Nets are more likely to get him than a lot of these other teams are being thrown out there until he voices his opinion. Like it comes down when we talk about Mitchell, it's about voicing his opinion of wanting to be traded. With KD, it's voicing his opinion that I don't want to return to Brooklyn. Like that's what
Yeah.
it comes down to, and I just don't know if it's at that point yet. Like I feel like Brooklyn should want to move off him. Like I know it's Kevin Durant, and that may sound crazy, but they've even said before that they'd rather kind of get the two out of there and kind of restart than deal with what they dealt with last season, which I could totally see. And if you have a Kevin Durant returning that begins to say, I'm not going to play and I'm going to sit out, they just dealt with that with Kyrie Irving in different
Yeah.
circumstances. So it's hard to see that happening if he does kind of push that. And you mentioned the word leverage. That's all it is, I think, at this point. It's just trying to find Brooklyn, trying to find some leverage, saying that he doesn't even want to be traded. He actually does want to be in Brooklyn. So now you have guys trying to force Toronto's into adding Scotty Barnes's and Miami's to add Bam Adebayo's. And that's kind of what this is when it seems like the market is pretty much aligned when it comes to not being Brooklyn. Everybody's kind of holding on to that one specific piece. And I guess it comes down to whoever bites and gives it up. But I just really don't believe anybody's going to end up giving it up.
Yeah, and so okay, let's start a little bit backwards because I think you maybe said something along these lines in the beginning of your answer. Do you think that there's a legitimate possibility that Kevin Durant doesn't get traded, at least not this summer?
Yeah, I do. I think
Ooh.
there's a pretty decent possibility. I feel like if he says that he will not play for them, he's 100% being traded before the season. If he's okay and just kind of pushes it forward, because for one, let's say that these offers are not great, and if you're saying that you're going to a Toronto that's being traded for Scotty Barnes, or you're going to a Miami that's being traded for Bam, are you in a better scenario than you were that you were just with your co-star Kyrie Irving? I'm not too sure. It may be in his best interest to stay with Brooklyn, see what they can get at the deadline with teams that are end up being desperate and want to make a move. Maybe the end of next season. He has 4 years on his deal. This isn't the Kawhi situation from a few years ago where it was like Kawhi has to be out because he's going to be a free agent the following year. He has 4 years on his deal, so I think it's a pretty decent possibility that he returns. But a lot of it, I guess, comes down to, you mentioned the name Kyrie Irving. It feels like a lot comes down to him because there is reports of him staying. But if he ends up being moved, then there's no chance Durant is back. There's no chance that he
Yeah.
says that I'm going to be okay with playing with a bunch of uh, draft picks around me and nothing else, because that's what these guys are going to be getting traded for.
I wish I had Fernando's confidence. He says, "You guys are panicking. We are for sure getting Durant. Relax." I mean, I don't think you're on the for sure tip, but how do you feel about Miami's chances right now, Brady?
I mean, when it comes down to teams not Brooklyn, I think they have a pretty decent chance because Phoenix is out of the running. I know there's some
Yeah.
certain Phoenix fans on Twitter and stuff that are acting like Mikal Bridges is the headliner, as the same as some of these of the Scotty Barnes Bam types. Like that is not the case. Their type there was DeAndre Ayton. They re-signed him, and now they're basically out of the running. I just can't see a way they can jump back into it. And who's the other team that that Kevin Durant mentioned, or one of the teams he mentioned, was the Heat, and
Mhm.
that's basically comes down to for one, you're going to have to include a bunch of teams in this trade. You're going to have to give up every asset, and you're going to hold on to Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo for as long as possible. I know the Bam scenarios keep going thrown in there, but it seems like Miami can dictate things a lot more than these other teams because I really don't believe. I don't think it's a leverage play on Toronto's part. I don't think they're giving up Scotty Barnes. I just don't see that whatsoever. There's some other teams that could jump into it, like a Boston if they were to offer one of those guys, like a Jaylen Brown. I know the Pelicans are another team that's been mentioned that could offer a guy like Ingram. So there's other teams, but would he want to play for those teams? I would think
Mhm.
he'd want to play for Boston. I would pretty confidently say that he would. He likes teams that are winning, and that's a team that just went to the finals. So those are teams that could potentially get into it, but it feels like it could happen. But I think a lot of Heat fans would respect the idea that they're just going to go all in on Durant. They're not going to move off that to get a Miles Turner. I know some people may say, go get that guy, but it kind of turns everything in a different manner of the big fish. Protect the rim a little bit. It moves Bam around defensively. If you want to get a John Collins, that's fine too. Just a guy that, once again, could.
They are changing the way that I bet on sports. Um, Completely legal in the state of Florida. And if you're not in the state of Florida, you're unsure, wait, is it legal here? Go to their website, betteredge.com, and you can see if it's legal in your state. I think if you're in Hawaii, you might be SOL, but enjoy living in Hawaii, right? There are costs to living in paradise, right? Florida is kind of paradise as well. We do have betteredge.com. By the way, a couple of people have been saying that, oh man, are we having trouble with the stream here? Is that my fault? Is that my connection? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Keeps freezing? The globalists, the Illuminati, the elites are trying to sabotage this broadcast. I hope some of you can actually see me. Check out betteredge.com/5reasons and make sure you check out prizepicks.com and the Prize Picks mobile app. Folks, Prize Picks, daily fantasy simplified. You simply select 2, 3, 4 players, predict if they're going to go over or under their fantasy projections, and win money. You win 10 times your money for getting 4 predictions correct, double your money for getting 2 predictions correct. And yeah, on the Prize Picks mobile app and the Prize Picks website, prizepicks.com, we have your hookup. Prizepicks.com. Use our code word 5. That's FIVE. Use our code word FIVE, and they're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $100. Prize Picks truly is a daily fantasy simplified. Man, I don't know if anybody can actually see me right now. Ah, keeps freezing. Can't hear. Jeez. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did wrong. Well, I'm going to sign off because I don't know if you guys can see me or not or hear me. So we will talk to you again tomorrow at around 2:30 p.m. on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.